You are not lonely because you are alone. You have people. You have someone who loves you, maybe several someones. You have the group chat that blows up on weekends. You have the family that checks in. You have the friend who says, "Call me anytime." You have the partner who is right there, in the same house, in the same bed, in the same life. And yet, there is something none of them know about you. Something you have never said out loud to anyone, not because you are hiding it exactly, but because you would not even know where to begin. You would not know how to explain it without sounding ungrateful, without sounding dramatic, without sounding like someone who has no reason to feel the way she feels, and yet feels it anyway. And that specific feeling is one of the loneliest things a person can live with. Not the loneliness of having no one, the loneliness of having people and still feeling completely invisible. This video is for that feeling, the one you have never had the words for until now. There is a kind of loneliness that nobody warns you about, not the empty apartment kind, not the Friday night with nowhere to go kind. This kind is quieter, and in many ways, it is heavier. It is sitting at a table surrounded by family and realizing that not one person there really knows what is happening inside you. Not one person has asked. Not one person would know where to begin. If they did, it is being someone's best friend, someone's partner, someone's daughter, someone's mother, and still carrying something that you have never been able to put into words to any of them. Not because they are bad people, not because they do not love you, but because somewhere along the way you learned that the real you, the full, complicated, tender, wounded, searching you, was too much, or not enough, or simply not something they were equipped to hold. And so you learned to edit yourself, to show them the version that was easier, the version that smiled at the right times, that said the right things, that kept the conversation light, and the laughter coming, and the mood manageable. You became so good at it that after a while, even you forgot where the performance ended and where you began. That is the thing about this kind of loneliness. It does not announce itself. It does not sit you down and say, "You are not being seen." It just hums quietly underneath everything, a low, persistent ache that you have learned to live around, the way you learn to live around an old injury. You adjust, you compensate, you stop noticing it until suddenly you cannot stop noticing it. And when it surfaces, when the ache breaks through, it never happens the way you expect it to. It is not the big moments that break you open. It is the small ones. It is a Sunday afternoon with people you have known for years, and realizing that the conversation has not gone deeper than the surface, in longer than you can remember. It is someone asking how you are, and you saying fine, and them nodding and moving on, and something inside you quietly deflating, because part of you was hoping just this once that they would ask again, that they would say, "No, really, how are you?" It is being in the middle of a hard season, something that is costing you more than anyone knows, and sitting through an entire dinner where nobody notices, where the conversation moves around you like water around a stone, where you laugh when they laugh and pass the food when it is passed, and drive home alone afterward with the radio off and the silence so loud you can barely breathe. It is the birthday celebration that should feel like love, but somehow just feels like performance. Everyone gathered, everyone smiling, and you sitting in the middle of it all, feeling further away from being known than you have ever felt. Maybe it happens in a quieter moment, a conversation that stays on the surface, a hug that feels hollow, a moment where someone says, "I know you so well," and something inside you just closes because they do not, and you know they do not. And the saddest part is that you are not even sure it is their fault. You never let them, not fully, not the parts that mattered most, not the late night thoughts, not the fears that do not make logical sense, not the grief you are carrying for things that happened so long ago that you feel you should be over them by now, not the version of yourself that is still a little girl looking for something safe to land in. You gave them the highlights, the curated version, the one that was strong and capable and doing fine, and they accepted it because it was what you offered. And because most people are not looking hard enough to see past what you show them, that is not cruelty. That is just how most of us move through the world, skimming the surface of each other, too busy, too distracted, too caught up in our own quiet loneliness to see yours. Now let us go back, because this did not start in adulthood. This started much earlier. Think about the home you grew up in. Think about what happened when you showed the full version of yourself, when you were too loud, too emotional, too sensitive, too needy, too much. What happened? For some of you, you were told directly, "Stop crying. You are being dramatic. Nobody wants to hear that. Toughen up." For others, it was less direct. It was the way the room shifted when you expressed a need. The way your mother got quiet when you were too much. The way your father left the room when the emotion got heavy. The way your siblings laughed when you were being serious. The way you learned, slowly, through 100 small moments, that the full version of you made other people uncomfortable, and you were a child. You could not afford to make the people you depended on uncomfortable, so you adapted. You got smaller, quieter, more agreeable. You learned to read the room before you entered it. You learned to adjust your temperature to match whoever you were with. You learned to ask, "Are you okay?" before anyone thought to ask you. You became the easy one, the low-maintenance one, the one who never needed anything, the one everyone said was so mature for her age. And nobody told you that you were paying a price for that maturity. Nobody told you that the ease you were giving everyone else was costing you something essential, the right to be fully known. By the time you were an adult, you had been doing it for so long, it did not feel like a choice anymore. It just felt like who you were, the woman who holds it together, the woman who keeps everyone comfortable, the woman who always knows what to say and never says the wrong thing, and somehow always manages to make everyone else feel seen, while quietly starving for someone to do the same for her. And the painful irony is this: the very things that make you so good at showing up for other people, your sensitivity, your emotional intelligence, your ability to read a room, your deep capacity for empathy, are the same things that make your loneliness so acute, because you feel everything deeply and you are surrounded by people who may not have learned to feel that way, who love you, but from a shallower depth than the depth at which you live. And that gap between the depth at which you experience life and the depth at which the people around you can meet you, that is where the loneliness lives. That is the space you have been trying to fill for as long as you can remember. Now here is what this kind of chronic invisibility does to you over time, because it does not just make you lonely. It changes you. It makes you doubt yourself. When no one reflects back the fullness of who you are, you start to wonder if the fullness is real. You start to wonder if maybe you are making it up, if maybe you are not as complicated as you think, if maybe you are being dramatic, if maybe there is nothing particularly deep about you and you have just been performing depth all along. That self-doubt is one of the quietest cruelties of a lifetime of not being truly seen. It also makes you lonely in your own company, because if you cannot show your inner world to anyone else, if you have spent years treating it as something to hide, eventually you stop visiting it yourself. You stop checking in. You stop asking yourself how you really are. You stop sitting with your own feelings long enough to understand them. You become a stranger to yourself. And then the loneliness has two addresses. Out there among the people who do not know you, and in here inside yourself, where you have not been in a very long time. It also makes you exhausted in a way that sleep does not fix. Performing costs energy. Monitoring yourself, editing in real time, adjusting, softening, shrinking, managing takes a kind of constant, invisible labor that nobody sees because you have gotten too good at hiding it. You go to bed tired, you wake up tired, and you cannot always explain why. Because nothing specific happened. You just spent another day being a slightly smaller version of yourself so that everyone around you could be comfortable, and that accumulates year after year, relationship after relationship, room after room, until one day you are sitting somewhere familiar, surrounded by people you have known for years, and something in you just quietly gives way. Not dramatically, not loudly, just a small private surrender. A moment where you think, I am so tired of not being known. That moment is not a breakdown. That moment is a beginning. Because here is what I want you to sit with. Almost everyone feels this way. Almost everyone is sitting in rooms, performing a version of themselves that is slightly less than the whole truth. Almost everyone has something they have never said to anyone, something they carry alone, not because they want to, but because they do not know how to put it down. We are a world of people, lonely in plain sight, and somehow that knowledge that you are not the only one feeling unseen is both comforting and devastating at the same time. Comforting because you are not broken. You are not strange. You are not too much or too little or too complicated. You are human, and this is a very human ache. Devastating because it means the people sitting right next to you, the ones you love, the ones who love you, might be feeling exactly the same thing, and neither of you knows how to say it. So what do you do with that? You could keep going the way you have been going, keep editing, keep performing, keep showing up as the version of yourself that fits neatly into the space everyone has already made for you. It is easier in the short term. It keeps the peace. It avoids the vulnerability of being truly known, because being truly known is terrifying. It means letting someone see the parts of you that you are not sure are lovable, the mess, the contradiction, the woman who has it together on the outside and cries in the car on the way home, the woman who gives advice she cannot take herself, the woman who is still figuring out who she even is underneath all the roles she has learned to play. That woman, the real one, she is terrifying to show. Because what if you show her and they step back? What if the real you is not what they signed up for? What if letting them see you fully means losing them, and so you keep the door mostly closed? You let people in just far enough to feel connected, not far enough to feel truly seen, and the loneliness stays. But I want to offer you something. not a solution, not a 5-step plan, just a different way of thinking about this. The connection you are longing for, the kind where someone looks at you and actually sees you. It cannot happen through the edited version of yourself. It can only happen through the real one. Real intimacy requires real vulnerability. Not the vulnerability of sharing everything with everyone. Not the kind that leaves you exposed and raw, in rooms that are not safe, but the vulnerability of choosing one person, one safe, worthy, carefully chosen person, and letting them a little closer than you have let anyone before. One conversation that goes a little deeper. One moment where instead of saying, "I am fine," you say, "Actually, I have been struggling, and I do not fully know how to talk about it, but I wanted you to know." That is all it takes to begin. Not a complete unraveling, not the whole truth all at once, just a crack in the door. And if the person on the other side meets that crack with care, if they lean in instead of pulling back, then you will know that this is someone who can hold a little more of you. And if they do not, if they change the subject or make it about themselves, or leave you feeling more alone than before, then you will know something different. You will know that this particular person is not the one, and that is painful, but it is also information. Not everyone is built to hold you, and it is not your job to keep pouring yourself into people who do not have the capacity to receive what you are offering. Part of healing this loneliness is learning to discern, learning to notice who expands you and who diminishes you, who asks follow-up questions, who remembers what you told them last time, who makes you feel like you just exhaled simply by being in the room with them. Those people exist. They are rarer than we would like, but they exist. And sometimes, before you can find them outside of yourself, you have to become that person for yourself. You have to learn to see yourself, to sit with yourself without flinching, to stop editing your own inner monologue into something more acceptable, to say, "This is what is actually happening inside me. This is the real thing, and it is allowed to be here. I am allowed to be exactly this complicated." To check in with yourself the way a good friend would check in. Not just, "Am I okay?" but "What do I actually need right now? What have I been carrying this week that I have not let myself acknowledge? What is the thing underneath the tiredness?" Because the loneliness of being unseen by others is painful, but the loneliness of being unseen by yourself, of spending years not looking too closely at your own inner life, that is the deeper wound, and that one only you can heal. Not by fixing yourself, not by becoming someone more lovable or more manageable, but by turning toward yourself with the same patience and tenderness you have always been so willing to offer everyone else. You deserve to be known fully, messily, without conditions. And it starts the moment you decide that the real you, the whole, unedited, complicated, searching you, is worth knowing. She always was. You just needed someone to say it. So let me say it. You are not too much. You are not invisible because you do not matter. You are invisible because you learned that hiding was safer than being seen. But you are safe now, and you are seen right here, right now, in this moment. If this found you today and something in you recognized it, that quiet ache of going through life, feeling like no one really knows you, I want you to know that you are not alone in it. The loneliness you feel is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of how long you have been protecting yourself, and protecting yourself made sense. It kept you safe when safety was not guaranteed. But you do not have to keep hiding from the people who might actually be able to see you. Start small. Let one person in a little further. Say the true thing once. See what happens. You might be surprised by who shows up when you finally let them